So we're continuing the series here of Bedarkei Rabbeinu Nisiyenu, following our leaders. So I want to talk today about the Chassid Reb Avrohom Drizin-Mayore, Avrohom Drizin. He was a personal Mashpia of mine, and I learned many things from him. I want to give just a few stories, anecdotes, insights into this giant chassid. He was born in 1900. He passed away, I believe, in 1990. He had 9 children, and he learned in Lubavitch. I believe he came to the Yeshiva of Lubavitch in 1913 or 1914, and he learned there till 1922, something like that. So Reb Avrohom is what I call a kluger chassid, a smart chassid. You see, amongst Chasidim, amongst Chabad Chasidim, there are all sorts, all types. There are some Chasidim that are more rigid, some Chasidim that are more happy, some Chasidim that daven more with kavanah, with focus and concentration, and there's some Chasidim who learn more deep Chasidis, and they're known as maskilim in Chasidis. Reb Avrohom was a Yid that in a sense, he had all of that. He was smart, he was fun, he was sharp, he was witty, and most importantly, he was a Baal Mesiras Nefesh. Reb Avrohom would say, anyone, any chassid that's not ready to give his life for Torah and Chasidus is not really any special chassid. He would use the expression, Eber's nicht greit gehen auf der Schchita. If he's not ready to allow himself to be slaughtered, Schchita, to be slaughtered, meaning to be shot dead for spreading Yiddishkeit, for disseminating Yiddishkeit, for teaching Torah, he's no big chassid. It's all talk. And Rabbi Avrohom lived this way. So many times was he close to death, was he close to being caught by a KGB. He was a wanted man, and with his smarts, and of course, Hashem guiding him through the brachas of the Rebbe, the Rabbeim, the previous Rebbe in particular, he outsmarted Stalin and the KGB, and he survived. That itself is a story for itself. Many of the stories that he told us, these hero stories, war stories, you wouldn't believe. Just one story that comes to mind. One thing I remember, where he told us once how he wore this long green coat. It was camouflage. He wasn't so noticed, and he had long pockets. He had deep pockets, and he was able to hold things in the pockets and hide things. It was just amazing, these stories that he shared with us in the frigid nights of the cold winter of Brooklyn in 1983. When he shared these stories with my friends and myself. But anyway, Reb Avrohom was a Yid who, learning in Lubavitch, he learned by the Rebbe Rashab, the 5th Lubavitcher Rebbe, and he learned with the great Mashpia, Reb Groinem, and Reb Michal, and Reb Michal the Alter, I believe, and a few others. Not sure if Michal Alter passed away in 1912. No, he didn't learn with him. Anyway, the thing is that he had the best of the best. But he also met Reb Baruch Ber Leibowitz, the Kamenitzer Rosh Yeshiva. He met Reb Moshe Mordechai, the Epstein, the Slabotka, the Rosh Yeshiva. And he knew the Rogatchover Goin and Reb Chaim Brisker. He told me he met them all, and he spoke to them in learning, and he had discussions with them. But he said, this all pales in comparison to the Rebbe Rashab. He said, the Rebbe gave a melech. He would speak, Rebbe Avrohom would speak with such power and fire. You could sum up Rebbe Avrohom's character as a charismatic character. If you want to see the difference between this chassid and, let's say, the last few clips of Shlomo Chaim and the Mashpia, and Reb Nisenemenov. They were Mashpia in Yeshiva. One in Brunois, one in the Lud Kfar Chabad. And Reb Avrohom was a Mashpia in Lud in the early days that he came to America. He wasn't officially a Mashpia in Yeshiva. By the way, Reb Avrohom's father-in-law was the famous Chasid of the Rebbe Rashab, Reb Zalman Moshe HaYitzchoki, Hayadua, the famous one who requires and will make Yimrat Hashem a video on that itself. But getting back to the bottom line, Reb Avrohom would say, Eres an Odom. And he said that in Lubavitch, they used the term Odom, Adam, to refer to someone who was a Muslim, who was wholesome in every area, both in learning and in davening and in Kabbalah soil and everything else. Someone who was just a person who, he knew and he learned and he davened, but he didn't excel in every aspect of Chasidism. Wasn't an Odom, a man. Or Rebbe Avrohom would sometimes say, a koina mensch. The pronunciation, the Russians, the koina, the lama, they didn't say the wamet. The wamet, they would say the wamet. A koina mensch. So people would say, oh, he's such a big chassid, he's such a big Talmud Chacham, he's such a big ovid. So Rebbe Avrohom would say, it was a koina mensch. Why is he a koina mensch? Because he's not a Muslim and he didn't really sacrifice himself by going on the front and fighting the communists and Stalin and was willing every day to die for it if need be. He's a koina mensch, big deal. When he shared these things with this young man here at the age of 21 and 22 and 23, it made a big impression. And the impression is that whatever I do is small change. It's gur nicht, as we say in Yiddish, nada in Spanish, nothing in English, and in Hebrew, efes. It's nothing. Our davening, our learning, compared to a Yid like Reb Avrohom, trust me, it was nothing. But nevertheless, for our generation, when you daven and you learn and you give tzedakah and you do mitzvahs and you help people and you put yourself and you're selfless, not selfish, okay, it's good. You know what I'm saying? But when we want to learn from Darkei Rabbeinu Nisienu in the ways of our Rebbes and the ways of our Chassidim who were real Chassidim to the Rebbes, to the Rabbeim, these are some of the things that we need to focus on. And Rabbi Avrohom Mayore Drizin was such a Yid, and I could say that I remember before I got married, and I went over to him, I said, Rabbi Avrohom, I'm getting married, could you give me some secrets of the trade? What are the secrets of the trade? So he told me quietly one thing, which I won't share right now because of its privacy, but it was something that Chassidim, the Lubavitcher Chassidim, conducted themselves in marriage in a most special, sacred, holy way. And then I said, is there more? He said, the rest I'll tell you after you're married. And I think of it, the idea of learning from such Chassidim apprenticeship, shimush we call it, just like to be a ruling rav, paisik, you need to have shimush, not just know the books. You need to take training, be an apprentice by a paisik, by a rabbi who receives shilas daily and weekly and makes rulings. And you sit with him and you see how he does it and you can ask him questions, why and how. And that's how you you take training, just like a doctor has the training program, an before they become a practicing the doctor, they're a resident, or they're learning on the job. The same as with a chassid. A chassid needs to have a mashpia or another chassid, even if it's not a mashpia, but someone who's a genuine chassid to learn from and take training from him. So in this vein, I encourage everyone, B'darkei Rabbeinu Nisienu, to identify a chassid that talks to you. And for women, again, I emphasize a woman, Chassidish woman, older student, learn from and to identify with and gravitate towards. And Hashem should help us. We should have the Geula Shlema B'Karev Mamash.